Hello, my name is Kelly Rodriguez. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, and today I'm going to be talking to you about anxiety. So, the first thing I want to remind you is that we are in the middle of a pandemic. If you're feeling anxious, if your children are feeling anxious, worried, stressed out, that's okay. Let me remind you, this is very normal. So, anxiety is a response to a stressful situation, which is what we're all going through. We never train to be parents through a pandemic. So if you're feeling a little lost, a little confused about what to do and how to respond to this, that's okay. So there are a few things to keep in mind though. Even though it's really normal to feel anxious, there are a few signs that we need to look out for in our children and ourselves as well. A few things are mood and behavior changes. Maybe our children are going to feel a little bit more irritable. Maybe they're going to be having more tantrums more than usual, talking back a little bit. Any changes in sleep or appetite habits, they're eating too much, too little, having difficulty falling asleep, any issues with concentrating, following directives, anything like that can be a sign that they're feeling worried, they're feeling stressed out, which is very normal again. For you also, it's important to keep in mind that we are also going to be feeling more sensitive and kind of like maybe irritable as well. So the little things, the little negative behaviors that all children may be having maybe are going to get us more upset than usual. We're also going to be responding to that. So those are things to keep in mind. Energy level, maybe feeling too tired, which is very normal. As parents, we are not getting a break. This is 24/7, so it's a lot of mental, emotional, physical energy that is being taken out of us. So it's very normal. Another thing to keep in mind is that the way we respond to situations like this can also be an opportunity to be an example for our children. This is a time where we don't have control over a lot of things. We are going through changes at church, at work, finances, school, the schedules are out the window. So this is something that can be an opportunity for us to be an example to them. How can you respond? How can you handle when things are getting really stressful? So you can take a deep breath and remember, this is very normal to feel anxious. Anxiety is a response that happens when we are feeling stressed out. We're going through a lot of changes. We don't have a lot of answers. There is a lot that we don't know still. So it's very normal to feel like this. I would like you to think about, how do you usually handle stress? How have you usually responded to anxiety before when things are getting overwhelming? Think about it. And in the next section, we're going to talk about skills that you can use on a daily basis. I'd like to talk to you about some skills that can help you during this time. One thing to keep in mind is the way we look at the situation, the way we're thinking about the situation makes a big difference. So first of all, having a flexible mindset, making sure that we remember that this is a time that a lot of the things that usually work out for us as a family may not work out. Schedules, routines, all of that may not be working out now. So be flexible. In scheduling, for example, think about what really needs to be happening today and what are things that are just optional. So keep in mind what is important to you and your children. Having a schedule and a routine can be helpful, but also you gotta keep in mind that you gotta leave a space for free time, fun time, something that is not about completing things or doing things, just having fun. And also having time for things that need to happen, like bedtime, screen time, things like that need to be a little bit more controlled. So be flexible with yourself and your children. Another thing that is important to keep in mind is finding activities that are enjoyable. For example, things like crafts, coloring, writing, anything that is important to you and that you enjoy, and also your children. Some of these things I will really encourage you to do when either with your children or without your children. So you also need to make time for yourself. I know it's really difficult. I know it sounds like a dream, but it is really, really needed. We need to find ways to recharge. So maybe these are things that you're gonna do on your own, maybe listening to your favorite song, maybe singing, writing, journaling, anything that is important to you and to your children. So you can either do some of these things together or separate, but make sure that throughout the day you do find things that are fun to you, that are relaxing. And one thing that is really, really important is to express how you're feeling and what you're thinking. So finding an outlet, and that's what these things do for you. These activities are kind of like that open door that you can use to kind of like let out all of these thoughts and these feelings that may be really overwhelming. We're watching the news, we're getting information from everywhere, changes constantly, so this can be really overwhelming. So making sure that you have an outlet. Talk to your children about it. Maybe you're not gonna have all the answers, and that's okay. But just sitting down and letting them know that you are ready to listen, having a conversation, kind of like an emotional check-in. How are you doing? What's on your mind? And then they're gonna talk to you if they feel ready. But even if they don't, that's okay, because when they're ready to do it, they'll know that they can count on you to do that. Physical activity, making sure that moving is really important for stress release, and it can be different. For example, for the younger kids, maybe just a dance party, I don't know, going out for a hike, whatever it is, keep on moving. This really, really helps. So those are a few things that are important to keep in mind as a family. And something to think about is, maybe when was the last time that you had a conversation, like an honest conversation about what's going on? Sometimes we may be keeping a lot of things in and we're not letting it out. So it's important to just think about it. Is it easy for you to talk to your children? And if it isn't, that's okay. What makes you uncomfortable? Maybe this is something new that we're not used to doing. So it's okay. Just ask yourself, when was the last time I did this, and how can I improve? Maybe I can do it a little bit more often. We talked about specific skills that can be helpful during this time. So in the next video, we are going to find information, just final thoughts, recommendations, and things to keep in mind.